My husband won't play gin rummy with me. He gave up years ago because apparently it wasn't fun losing hand after hand as I crowed with excitement. Who knew? The fact is, I was just so excited not to be scraping out a rare and random win against my dad that I saw Tripp as a new competitor when he wasn't really at all. He didn't care so much about making books or knocking. He hadn't grown up playing the game. He was just spending time with me. We played each other more often than I did with my dad, until he wouldn't play at all anymore. And it sure felt like I was winning, but I guess I wasn't. And if you're wondering what this has to do with branding, well, your biggest competitor might not be your competitor at all. Hi, I'm Amy Jackson, creative director, award-winning designer, color nerd, and unapologetic brand evangelist. And this is Brand is Not a Four-Letter Word. It's true. Your competitors may not be who you think. And I'm not just talking about direct versus indirect competition, but that's not a factor. But a tricky component of building a strong brand that is actionable, aspirational, and authentic is often assigning your arena. And here's the most confusing part. I'm here to share that you have both no control and total control over this aspect of your brand. Let's break down the parts that you can't really control first. Your brand arena is how people categorize your organization. You might also call this a competitive landscape, an industry, sector, or field, or even a sphere of influence, but spoiler alert, I'd move that last one to the can control column. I personally often refer to this as your brand's neighborhood. Just like I mentioned in previous episodes how a brand is like a person with personality and style, well, your arena or competitive field is quite simply where you live. You live among others who do what you do, offer what you offer, or more definitively, can be compared to you when your target audience is looking for a solution to their problem. If it feels like this is low-hanging fruit, it's because it is, seemingly at least. It's one of the most basic of business principles, right? Find your competition, then find a way to stand out amongst them. But for a brand to best slot itself into the most ideal neighborhood, the key is not to stand out, to be lumped in with and categorized as the same, because that is how people actually find you. In essence, your arena isn't just how you'd identify your industry, but where your people would mentally place you. Think back to the phone book days. Remember those? Great for prank calls and booster seats. If you're a Gen Z listener, phone books were a sort of printed and archaic version of Google without much context and lots of tiny type. Back then, your arena was simply what section your phone number or ad was listed under, and how big that neighborhood was usually came down to how many inches it took up in the yellow pages. Today, our competitive field is most often shaped by however people search for solutions you can offer. So yes, Google, both ads and organic search, and therefore SEO, but also networks and professional organizations related to that, business directories, either online or old-fashioned print, social media platforms. AI cannot be ignored for this sorting hat science either. Even good old-fashioned word of mouth can categorize your business for seekers. Culture and cultural expectations can also help shape your category along with how crowded the space already is when you arrive. And of course, going back to that direct versus indirect, there's the alternatives that people consider that may not look like you exactly, but serve a solution that the audience compares to what you offer as a solution. What I'm saying is that defining your arena can be complicated. Your brand arena, what we'll now define as the market, category, or cultural space where you compete, can feel like something you have no control over. And when you think about the fact that you can't force the public in general to find your little house from whatever angle they're choosing to view your neighborhood, you're not wrong. But there's something behavioral economists talk about called choice architecture. In essence, this is about how the way people categorize something determines the options they believe they have. And this is how you begin to take control of your neighborhood. If your brand isn't clearly situated on the right street, customers won't even know you're an option when they drive through looking for choices. Choice architecture helps you structure the options your audiences see whenever they encounter your brand. The way you frame, simplify, or highlight those choices can guide people toward the experience you want them to have. Strong choice architecture helps your brand stay out by making the desired action feel intuitive, easy, and aligned with your brand promise. Suddenly, you're able to influence your arena after all. Here are some examples that ChatGPT helped me create for us to look at choice architecture as it applies to brand arenas. If you're a robotics club, your arena isn't necessarily extracurricular activities. Maybe it's where future-minded students go to build things that matter. Or if you're a nonprofit, close to my heart, your arena isn't donations, but it might be meaningful change, local impact, or giving people tangible ways to help. If you're an energy drink, you're not competing with soda. You're in the arena of energy or clarity, identity, lifestyle. See how this fits within that larger sorting situation that you really can't control, but it allows you to drill down into a niche that you can? Now, before I go any further, I think it's time to clarify that this isn't the same as brand positioning, which we'll talk about in the next episode. Choice architecture is simply how you guide decisions within your brand arena. Positioning is what you want to be known for. It defines your place in the market, whereas choice architecture shapes the environment that helps your audience actually find and choose you. Or, said more simply, positioning tells people who you are. Choice architecture helps them choose you. See how they're not the same, but they're inseparable? So let's dive deeper into general competition versus distinctive space, or direct versus indirect competition. Most brands dramatically misjudge who their competitors actually are because they assume competitors are whoever sell exactly what I sell. But just like we were creating a niche using choice architecture within our arenas, brand perception helps to define those less direct ways people may think of us when they're trying to solve their problem. Brand perception is key here. A water nonprofit might compete with local charities for emotional attention, not other clean water organizations. A small business might compete with DIY options too, and not other businesses. Research consistently shows that consumers remember brands that are distinct, not necessarily better. In fact, findings have shown that for decades, the distinctiveness drives recognition and choice. People remember whatever stands out in a meaningful way, not necessarily what performs best on paper. And here's where it gets sticky. Most brands will look to the leader or a highly saturated presence in their category, arena, or neighborhood, and they then perhaps unintentionally copy, paste, and pray it works. The problem is when everyone in an arena starts looking and sounding the same, customers don't see options. They see a big blur, a sea of sameness, same logos, same messages, same experiences. Nothing is distinct, so nothing is remembered. Differentiation doesn't need to be scary level dramatic. It just needs to be recognizable. A unique tone, a different brand personality, a visual element no one else uses, like shape, color, style, a specific niche of customer that you serve best, or a brand experience competitors can't match. Like back to that robotics club. If 3 robotics clubs all say, we teach STEM skills, but ours says, we build kids who build the future, that's the one who owns a uniqueness in the arena. Now we're finding a way to stand out, niche, in our broad category, arena. The competitive fields someone may sort this club into could be education or socialization solutions, but regardless, our robotics club lives as a beacon on the hill in those neighborhoods because it promises more for those kids. Your arena becomes clear when you can say, in a world full of fill in the blank, we're the one who. Forget about what you do for just one moment. Instead, think about what you do differently. That's how you stand out in your arena. That's where your brand competes and connects. Back to those ChatGPT examples. In a world full of energy drinks promising intensity, maybe you provide clarity. In a world full of charities asking for money and doing good, you're the one showing people exactly how their money makes an impact. In a world full of robotics clubs building robots, you're the one building confidence, leadership, and future problem solvers. Here's a fun fact. Brand research consistently shows that people make decisions by eliminating options, not by choosing between them. So distinctiveness helps you survive that first round of elimination. Or, in essence, it provides a GPS to your home within your neighborhood. In fact, studies in consumer psychology show that when brands occupy a clear mental category, people recall them faster and trust them sooner, so they won't even need that GPS. They'll remember exactly where you live and how your house stands out amongst the others. So here's this episode's brand hack. Write down a healthy list of things you know your company does well. Not just your products or your service listing, but the ways your organization rocks for your customers. Now, write down 3 competitors in your neighborhood. Look them up. Check their ads, listings, socials, read their websites, and figure out one thing each of them claims to do really well. Look back at your list. If it's the same thing as one of your items, cross that one out. You can't rent to own where someone else already lives. Your arena isn't just where you blend in to be found. It's also where you begin to stand apart. And standing apart is exactly how you build a strong brand that is authentic, aspirational, and actionable. Because brand isn't a 4-letter word. It's your best strategy and your strongest story. Let's build your brand together. Learn more at brandisnotafourletterword.com, where strategy and storytelling meet design.